Hello there. I just wanted to show some of the stuff that I was up to this winter 2019, and I'm actually kind of excited about it because it's my first season of growing through the winter. Like, I didn't even know it was possible. So I was one of those people who rototilled my garden under sometime in September, at the beginning of October, and then I didn't do a single darn thing in my garden all the way through until somewhere between April and May, when the garden was dry enough for us to rototill again. So I'm going to combine what I'm up to with a challenge. Simple Garden has challenged me to do a roundup from 2018. So the things that you're most proud of, the things that you're the least excited about, the things that you learned, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to mix it in and show you what I'm up to currently at the same time, because y'all want to see baby plants, right? Because that's what it's all about. Can we even see them? I actually need to turn off the light here or move this light to make it so they can see. So I actually have little starts. So my husband got me this hanging light so that I can actually adjust the height, and I didn't even realize how many cool, beautiful seeds could be grown this time of year. Some cold weather crops that can actually get outside before they, turn scrawny and leggy and all of that kind of stuff. And so I have been actively planting all kinds of things. And I have learned some lessons in here that would probably get to go into my 2019 lessons, since they're this year. And that is old seeds really are old seeds, and you have to plant more of them. So my overall principle of planting less seeds instead of crowding out my seedlings, I have actually had to go back and replant a few because they were just plain old. But that's not on my roundup questions. The first question is, what was your best crop in 2018? So my best crop in 2018 has to be corn. So I love corn, and when you can sit down multiple times and eat as much as you want because you've grown it yourself and it's right there, and then you just have to keep picking it and eating it, that is a massive success. And I just know there's something satisfying about that. So on to the next question. Here's also something that I have been up to. This is the stairwell in my coming down from that upstairs office, because it has this big, beautiful window. So I get to do all of these lovely plants, and I have orchids blooming and African violets blooming, and we are not buried under snow like everybody else is. So you get to see my outside. It's a little bit gray, kind of like what they do in Oregon. But I've been just super enjoying my indoor houseplants. So question number 2 is, what was your worst crop of 2018? And I do have an answer for that. So is it really a worst crop when you're actually on a learning curve and you're trying to figure things out? So I have grown carrots a lot of times throughout the years, and yet I had just done this rehaul on my garden with the whole Back to Eden thing, and the carrots just wouldn't grow and wouldn't grow and wouldn't grow. And I was like, what? I thought it was new dirt and, kind of putting my soil to work for me in a new way. And then lo and behold, I figured out slugs. Slugs. Slugs are the enemy around here in Oregon. And actually, the biggest challenges, that's the next question, and the biggest challenges I've dealt with this year is slugs. They're kind of amazing. There's a lot of them. So I've had a garden for years, but I've never really combated them in an intentional way. So one of the things I'm going to be doing in 2019 is figuring out how to manage the slugs, and I will be pulling out all the resources to get that done. But I want to show you this. This is a tiny little cold frame. I don't even know if it's going to work, but I don't see why it wouldn't. It's actually a bag that you get when you buy bedding. So my son got a new comforter from his sister for Christmas and for his bed, and so I asked if I could have the bag, and I'll show you what's inside of it, because it is growing things inside there, and I think they're gonna live. So cold frame, miniature upcycled cold frame number 1. Okay, so this is what I have going in inside, and now these little guys don't actually have seeds in them. What I've been doing is I'll start something that's meant to be done in the cold weather upstairs, and then when they get a good little start, I bring them down here, and then I take a new one that's not planted, and take it up there. So you can see that we have, oh, my dog is trying to say hi. Be good now. I have a broccoli and kale. Broccoli and kohlrabi and Brussels sprouts, and a couple different kinds of lettuce, and then leeks. Oh my gosh, you are so in my way. Look at what you're doing. You are making this impossible. Yes. Okay. So obey, stay back, stay back. But we've actually had some pretty freezing nights and they're still alive. So, hey, I don't know if they're going to grow very good. That's the part I'm curious about. Like, will they just stay this size until everything warms up? But last year, I didn't really have any harvest until well into April, May, because I just didn't even know about winter stuff. So there you go. Look at all my stuff is coming up for spring, and it's like, yay, look at that. It's so pretty. So this is almost a garden tour, and for those of you who are under feet of snow, you might actually appreciate being able to see the ground and that there's actually a few green things in here. But I actually wanted to show this because I have one of the things that I have on my list is the what was your worst crop, and I have this one that I was actually kind of wanting to put on there as my worst crop, but it's not really fair because even though I've been gardening for years, winter gardening is like totally brand new. So the idea of planting broccoli and cauliflower and any other brassicas in the late summer so that you can actually have them producing through the winter is like a totally foreign concept. And I'm like, all these people are saying they're doing this. Well, what I ended up doing was I planted some in the spring and then just waited and waited. And so I have these kale crops. Look at this. So these are obviously very old, and I should have replanted them in like June or July. These are still producing for me, and I've had actually quite a bit of meals off of them, and I've fed my rabbit quite a bit off of them. The rabbits love it. But they're obviously old and done, and I should have done a second harvest of them over the winter. But I didn't even know it was possible. So is it a failure? Kind of. It's kind of lame here. So like I started to figure it out here. You can see that I have chard growing. This one's kale. Did I say kale the right way? I sometimes get the words mixed up here. My brain is 2 steps behind. My tongue is 2 steps behind my brain. And then this is the broccoli. So now broccolis are still putting out these little florets, and I actually have made several meals off of it. But this is the same thing. This is the one that I planted like last January. So it's like old. It needed to be pulled out and harvested all the way and then planted again, and I just didn't even realize that was how this worked, because it's all new to me. And of course, we have one more demonstration of this nonsense, and that is Brussels sprouts. Now the Brussels sprouts did get a pest, and I'm not sure what the pest is. I can't remember the names of them all, but we still have some Brussels sprouts coming, and I think they're about ready to go, but they're kind of like, we'll have to see if they're going to be any good. But this is the same thing. This is a really old plant. This should have been harvested last spring, so it was a little late to grow, but it was also because I started with seeds in like April when everybody else was already had full mature plants that they were putting in the ground. So learning curve, learning curve, learning curve. So the question of what are you going to do in 2019? I don't know. I think that for me, it's the continued learning. I still feel like a lot of my yard is a blank slate with the new Back to Eden style. And because I'm spending so much less time keeping the weeds at bay, and I've got a new water system coming around where my hoses are going to be more accessible, I think that for me, it's just kind of the continuation of the dream. And I think that dream for me is a 3 or 4 year one. I have my rabbits, and I have baby chickies coming and baby ducklings coming, because I wanted aiming at the colored egg baskets. Some of you folks make that just look so fun. But I don't know that I'm technically a homesteader. I think I'm more along the lines of the kitchen garden, potager, and the gardening for sanctuary and beauty and recreation. So I just want to have lots and lots more flowers and more perennial flowers that come up all the time. So that's part of the goal. Let's see, what's the next question? Oh, the one thing I am really excited about is that I do not have to start with a blank canvas. Now think about it. This is what my garden looks like. Every year before this year, every single year before this year, I have had to start with a completely rototilled under, completely no aisles, no, like even the trellises that are hung up over, all of that started over. And now I don't have to. Like, I can legit start by putting the seedlings in the ground and propagating, things. So that's very exciting. And so part of me is just really excited to see what that means. Like, what does that growth mean in my garden spot? And also, all of the stuff that I started to put in last summer and last fall that haven't had a whole season to mature yet. I'm looking forward to seeing what my yard looks like with those things all in full fruit and done. So definitely more flowers. Um, And I think the other thing I'm really excited about this year is variety. So before, when I didn't do Back to Eden and I had to keep up with the weeds, I tended to grow the same things. I would grow tomatoes and cucumbers and carrots, and I did actually do corn pretty well, and beans and snow peas and some like radishes and things like that. But then the weeds would come in and choke them out, and then I just really wouldn't even work on planting any other varieties. And so, just the idea of what can actually be in my, what I can actually be harvesting in my house all through the winter, that is such a new phenomenon for me. And that kind of leads me into my next one about inspirations, and you'll see why in just a second. I kind of went overboard on this one. Lavender and Leeks with Katie, Roots and Refuge with Jess and Liz Zorab. They're just fun because they're kind of consistent. And so when you're trying to when you're enjoying something and you're staying motivated, they just continue to post on YouTube, and they have all kinds of you just kind of like watching somebody cook. You just learn by seeing what they're doing in their space. And so there's so many things that I've just learned, nonsensy things. And then of course, they're pretty fun people to hang out with. They're pretty inspiring. So, but Steve's Seaside allotment has me thinking something different. So he has an allotment. So he's in the UK, and he has. I'll give you a little quick peek into my greenhouse since we're just standing here. But he has this concept. He actually has an allotment, so it's more of a contained space than what I have. I got all this awesome opportunity here, but he feeds people out of his garden, because that's one of the things I was like, if I plant all this stuff, how in the world are we going to eat it all? Like, if I actually get the dreams to have the bushes and the berries and the fruit trees and the more variety of veg, how do you just eat it all? And what he does is, in the winter months, he actually provides vegetables for 8 families, and in the summer months he provides for 22. And I just think that's remarkable. I don't have any aspirations to do it quite that intently, but I do have 3 families that I'm looking to connect with. I've already started the groundwork with one, where 2 of them garden, 1 of them doesn't, where I could actually grow their starts for them and share my bounty with them, and let their kids come over and play around in my space and learn a little and stuff like that. And the other one that's not gardening, she always aspires to learn. She doesn't know anything about gardening, so that would be a shared knowledge kind of thing. And I just think that's really fun. So that's what. And then the other goal that I really want is, I have this friend named Lynn, which Lynn, if you actually ever watch this, Lynn Large, that's who you were talking about. She is a part of a garden club, like where you have people who've been gardening for years, who've been learning about it for years, who've taken classes on it, who've gone all in. And I kind of want to go to her club with her. I don't know that I want to join the club, because I just don't need one more tap on my time, but I would actually really like to just see what that's about and just look at it. So other inspirations that I put on here is Grandma Rose's Homestead, and I don't know how old she is, but her zest for life, she's definitely grandma. She's but her zest for life and her hunger to continue to learn and to stay busy with life and living, I just want to watch her videos because she does that. GrownToCook, she has a knowledge level that's insane. She's in the Netherlands, and she's a permaculture lady, and she's getting ready to come out with a garden book. So if you want to find somebody who's really knowledgeable on what things grow in the winter and how to make a success over and actually feed your family year round, she's a good one to follow. And she doesn't even know me at all. Like, none of these people really do. So that's GrownToCook. And then the other one is Homegrown.garden. Her name is Katrina, and she's in Nottingham in the UK. And she's a young thing, and she just has an eye for beauty. And you can just tell that when she's doing her allotment, that she just really enjoys what she's doing, and she's creating beauty as much as stuff to eat, and of course taking on the challenge of it. And she just said that she was going to quit doing full garden tours and just do little segments at a time. And I say no. She's doing these once a month garden tours. And your canvas of your garden is new every year. Keep doing full garden tours, because even in the winter, it's kind of fun to see what's growing and what's not. This is one that I'm actually kind of excited about. It's borage, and I've never had it before, but I know it's a bee attractant, and I want that. And of course, some of the other stuff is growing and doing just fine in here, and it's fun to have things growing. Oh, dog's getting in there. Hey, what are you doing? Are you in my greenhouse? Are you snitching? So, Bill's allotment and Two Plots of Heaven, him and Val, they're a couple that's in the UK, and when they do it, I think what inspires me about them, of course, the knowledge, because they've been gardening for, gosh, between the two of them, they've probably got probably 75 plus years of experience between the two of them, I think. I think that's pretty accurate. And, excuse me, their sense of humor is awesome. And in their marriage and interactions and stuff like that, it's actually just as entertaining as the garden, just to watch them interplay together. So keep gardening, you two, and they've actually been super gracious to answer questions for me. And not everybody does. So you get a newbie on there who's asking noob questions, and there's a lot of them. But, certain things. Let's see. Simple Garden. Oh, the people who nominated me was Simple Garden and Jen. She has his daughter Jen has a family thing too. So here's another thing I want to update. See this? Look at all of these. So these are wild filbert trees that are not producing very well. My son, who works on a filbert farm, told me that they've had blight a few years ago. A huge epidemic of filbert blight came through, and so they produce, but they produce very, very little compared to what they're supposed to. But there's enough filbert trees all around here that we don't have to fight for filberts if we want them, unless we are contending with the squirrels. But they block the light, my little bit of light. Do you see this big stand of trees? That's actually one of the challenges that I have, is getting enough light on my garden, and with our Oregon weather when it's not always very sunny. But I want to take the poles, the pieces of wood there, and use them to line the walkways inside my food forest. So that's actually an up-and-coming winter project, and I'll have to video that when I get it done. So thank you for the challenge. I'm supposed to challenge 3 people. Oh, I forgot to do that. Well, maybe Grandma Rose would be one. She might have done it already. Geez, I forgot to think about that. So, and maybe GrownToCook and Homegrown Gardens. I just picked them right off of here. There's two, one in the United States and 2 not. So hopefully that doesn't matter, but I enjoy that. So maybe I'll put the shout out to them and let them know about the questions so that they can participate if they haven't already, because it's totally fun. GrownToCook just did a recap of her 18 goals that she got done in 2018, which is quite impressive, because some of the stuff she does is more heady, like studying the growth of lettuce in comparison to each other with what they like the taste of, and and all of that kind of stuff. So, oh my goodness, I can really see a lot more light through here. We got some of those trees chopped down, just really nice. Let's see, is there anything else? I'm looking at my list. Inspiration and entertainment. Can you be inspired by pure entertainment? Oh yes, there's a whole lot of you YouTubers out there that are just plain fun, and you're cracking crazy. And I kind of like watching you crazy nerds continue to do your garden. Are you offended that I said it like that? But entertainment can be inspiring. And this year, I want it to be the year of the carrots. I want to win. And the battle against the slugs, I want to win. So we'll see how this goes. So there's my roundup for 2019 and roundup for 2018, put up in 2019. So have a good day and blessings on you. And we'll see you next time, YouTubers. And I'm still totally new at this, so if you haven't subscribed to me, please do. And if you can add a comment and say something nonsensical, great, because I could use the little boost, because I'm a brand new YouTuber.